Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Going Rounds podcast. And for some reason, it always does that to me. Clark, it's always you. It never
Yeah, I
does that with
know.
anybody
Every
else.
time. It's all good. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
back.
What's going on, people? We're here to talk about some MMA. I'm having technical difficulties at the very last second, but it's not like me if I'm not having some kind of problem. So, uh, yeah. What's going on, man? How you doing?
It's been good. Just been working. Uh, Hopefully we can get some golf in this week.
Definitely. I'm fiending for some golf already. It's been what, like 3 weeks?
I know we've had a crazy ass week. Let's talk about what's happened recently here in Arizona. We had that
Oh
chemical spill.
man. Yeah, talk about some bullshit.
That was some bullshit. Was it nitric acid or something like that?
Yeah, something weird, but who knows? All I know is it was a fucking pain in the ass. I mean, I feel bad for the dude that was driving the semi. He lost his life, but I mean, there's no buts
Yeah,
about that.
for sure.
Obviously, I feel bad for him and all that. Um, but talk about
Absolutely.
the disarray that happens when some shit goes down. Like I would have never guessed that it would have been that bad
Oh, for
because
sure. And I mean, it shut the highway down. It shut basically all Arizona down from here to New Mexico. And then for the fact is, this is something weird. Lindsay, I didn't know this, but my wife told me this is that uh, earlier the day, that guy was looking for his dog.
oh yeah?
Yeah, he was looking for his dog. He took a picture of his dog, and he was like, "Hey, I'm with my compadre for the day," and took a picture of the dog, and then the dog went missing. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but the dog went missing. They finally found the dog, so the family got reunited with the dog. So that's pretty cool. But I
Huh.
mean, it definitely sucks that they lost the head of the household for them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I heard there was all kinds of weird stuff happening as far as like just rumors and things going around. I heard something about
Mhm.
the fact that he was supposed to be in California and not even supposed to be in Arizona. So,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
like
Oh God.
the truck was supposed to be in California, not in Arizona, and for some reason he was here. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with what you just said
Wow.
about the yeah, but either which way, it was crazy, man. Like basically where me and Clark live, everything was shut down. We had to take alternate routes. I know the first night it took me like 2.5 hours to get home.
Yeah, it took me 2 hours. Yep.
Yeah, it was insane. And that was after me driving for 5 hours because I was out of town for work, trying to make it home in time for Valentine's Day because this all happened on Tuesday on Valentine's Day. So that was some bullshit. And I mean, I still came home and made dinner and stuff, but dude, it was bad. Like it sucks so bad.
I
What's
know
up,
David and
David and
Dakota are in the
Dakota?
chat.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? But
Miss you,
yeah, that
Dakota.
was that was fucking crazy, man. And the fact that I just started thinking about it because I had told Michelle that before, I told her, hey,
Mhm.
like it's a little kind of sucks that there's only certain ways to get in and out of here.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
no, for
and
sure.
we're so close to the highway that they closed the interstate down, and they diverted all the traffic through all of the roads that we would take. So, no matter which way, I went 4 different ways. Okay, that sounds like a lot of different ways to get home, but really it's more like cutting off certain areas and still winding up in the same place for a bit. It's definitely whiskey. We both got it. Cheers.
Yeah, we're all only whiskey here. Yeah, no, it
But
was intense. And then like even the alternative routes where I'm like, okay, no one's gonna go through this way. I should be good. I'll get home. No, stuck
no,
10 times worse. I'm
I
like,
thought the
oh
same
God.
thing. You went up the same way I did from what I heard, and it
Yeah.
was yeah, it was. I thought I was being smart. Apparently, I'm either real dumb or everyone else is
I
just
thought
as
the
smart
same.
as me.
I thought the same shit. I seriously thought I was like, oh, I'm gonna go the back route to our town and we're gonna be good. I'm gonna go home on time. Fuck
No,
no, this is another
no,
hour. Once I got in there, I was like, oh
yeah,
hell no.
dude, I was in my truck for 7.5 hours. and 2.5 of that was not even like driving a distance. It was stop and go, sitting in traffic for hours. It was insane. But
When I
whatever.
got
I
home,
mean,
I had to pee like a racehorse. So I was holding it the entire
dude,
time. I was
I
dying.
pissed in a cup in my truck. That's how bad cuz I already felt like I had to take a piss like right, I mean pretty much right when everything came to a standstill.
Oh,
Like 15 minutes in I was all, "Oh no. This is where everything catches up to me." So I ignored it for a while. So for like an hour it didn't bother me. About
oh my
2
god.
hours in, I was like, "I can't do this anymore. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here." I had a McDonald's cup next to me and I had a
Hey,
tea bottle for reserves. I filled up that cup. I was like, I'm a piss all over myself if
hey,
I got to bring something else in the mix.
when you got yeah, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
I waited hard, but I mean, I survived. Luckily, I didn't
I
have
can
a
hold
cup
it.
like you did.
Yeah, I can hold it for a long time, but when you have no idea how long it's gonna take you to get there, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I wasn't trying to chance that. I'd rather dribble a little on myself than full on piss myself.
Right. For sure. No,
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, that was our crazy week. And then yesterday, yesterday wasn't it was better, but I mean, I wound up coming
And
home
then it
early.
snowed. It snowed in
Yeah.
Arizona. Wait, I still had to take 2 hours. It took me an hour to get to work, an hour to get home, but it snowed.
Yeah. Well, it snowed overnight. So yeah, and then we wake up and I'm trying to get to work and like a dumbass, I don't think about it and I go the normal way I would normally go and I get stuck. Yeah, it took me an hour and 15 to get to work. So
Oh,
then I came home early because I kept hearing more and more things about the shelter in place thing and all that shit. And I'm
mhm.
like, nah, I'm not getting stuck in traffic again, getting home at like 6, 7 o'clock at night when I should have been home at 4 at the latest.
Right.
So I went home at like 11. I had some training I had to do anyway. So I
That's
went
awesome.
home, I did the training, and I called it a day. I was like, fuck it.
Hey, I would
So
have been right there with you.
I was happy this morning when I woke up and found out that I-10 was open, everything was
Yep,
good. There was still a little bit of traffic, like unusual traffic, but I'm sure it was people just making sure that they were okay. So, yeah,
for
tomorrow
sure.
should be like full on normal, everything back to normal. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild week.
But at least we're all good. Our families are all good. There was no
Yep,
intrusion of any kind of weird chemical in the air coming to us that we know
absolutely.
of. Hopefully, we don't get cancer here in a year. But
I thought I was gonna wake up with a third eye.
apparently, the guys on the podcast kept telling me that I'm gonna have. Well, Magix kept telling me, "Why don't I have superpowers?" I'm like, "Cause I didn't go drink the shit or breathe it in completely from the
I know we
site."
didn't go head deep. Magic probably would have went head deep.
he's like, "When are you gonna become a mutant?" I'm like, "Damn." Nah, it was funny though.
uh,
But yeah, I'm glad that's all over with. So yeah, anything else besides that craziness going on for you, or
no, not really. Let's see. Oh, hi, Brandy. My step or my sister-in-law is on the other line over in Washington, Washington. Um, no, I mean it's been crazy with work. Honestly, it's been real super busy, but I mean everything on top of it. At the end of the day, I'm just glad to be home and having a whiskey with you and just
yeah.
chatting along, and can't beat it.
Yeah, that's why I came home early yesterday because I was like, if I get stuck anywhere, I want to be stuck at home. So that's why I
Right.
went
Oh,
home
for sure.
early. I was
And
like,
where
nah,
where my guns are located, okay? Like
right? Yeah.
who knows
Where
how crazy that shit could have got.
first off your guns and then your family, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, guns are going to protect the family. I can't protect the
True.
family, but I got my
Very true.
guns.
Yeah, so man, the last weekend was pretty badass with those fights. It was a great fight card. Some asshole
And I
flaked out on me. So
ah, bro,
you're supposed to be
I
on
got
here to
I
recap it
know.
with me so we could talk
I
about the
know.
bullshit we got into.
Oh, we would have gotten some bullshit. I mean, I didn't even get to watch it live. I got to, watch the recap of all the fights. Like, luckily, I got to watch them all. But Jesus, what did I miss? I couldn't believe it. It was
Yeah.
just insane.
Well,
So
I mean,
hopefully, we get into those.
we will for sure. That main event, there's all kinds of questions revolving that whole thing. everywhere from the way that it got scored to the actual winner to what happened after. And yeah, we're definitely going to get into all that. That's the biggest part of this tonight is going to be recapping because there's a lot to talk about. The fights were really good. The main card was really good. The well, someone knows you well.
My buddy Dakota, he knows me the best, so he knows. Here's you, fucker.
Oh man, I love it. I love it when I can look over and just have something to laugh at because people in the chat, it's great. Oh shit. Yeah,
Oh
but
god.
yeah, it was a good night of fights and we got another fight coming up this weekend, UFC. I don't know, like I've said before, they never can make up their mind how they want to title these things, so it's hard to look up sometimes. You can either find it under UFC Vegas 69 because they're at the Apex, or you can find it under UFC Fight Night. I think it's at 219. There's so many different numbers. I like just calling it a fight night, but maybe I don't know. Maybe just the names. It's weird. It's hard to
I mean, it is just a fight night. It's not pay-per-view, and they're doing it
right
in the UFC hall, right? Or
in the
whatever.
Apex. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why there's a UFC Vegas 69 because they started numbering them when the when like they started doing stuff at the Apex because of COVID and all that shit.
Right.
So and they have minimal amount of fans there. They don't really they sell tickets to like certain people. It's not like a normal event. So it's like quiet in there. You hear everything that's happening, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, when you're watching it on TV, it's kind of nice to have the background noise of the crowd, the reaction of the crowd. I've heard a lot of mixed, reviews from the fighters and the coaches and everybody there about whether or not it's good to have it there or not good. A lot of them like the crowd a lot better.
In my opinion, too, I think the crowd definitely like will amp one or the other up depending on who their favorite is.
Yeah.
As we saw, in 284, how big Volkanovski got,
Yep.
just with the crowd there. So, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And I mean, nobody would want not to have their fans there supporting them and just hearing them cheered when, even a good strike happens. So,
Right. Yeah, and honestly, like I was surprised by the fans in Australia because I mean it was in Perth, Australia, and I was surprised by the fact that pretty much they were cheering on the smallest things that happen. So like reversals, um different submission attempts, takedowns, and normally people are booing that kind of shit. So they're either
mhm.
really intelligent about the fight game or they just enjoy and really appreciate, like the art that's happening in front of them, or they're just a great crowd. I mean, they might just be
Yeah.
like reacting to everything happening. And I mean, obviously the cheers and stuff were more along for all of the hometown guys, all the Australian guys, but either way, I was kind of surprised at what they were reacting to and all of the reactions in general.
Yeah, they were really in it, and not to get into the whole Volkanovski fight right away, but even when he was, in Islam's clinch, he was giving the fans a thumbs up. He was calm, cool. They loved it. So
Yeah.
it was wild. It was totally wild. So
Yeah,
and
it was
maybe they knew more than we thought.
yeah. No, it was
It's-
a great night of fights. I mean, that makes the crowd can influence a fight big time like you said. It can either, bring somebody up or take somebody down kind of. And on top of that,
Mhm,
it's an influence on what the judges are kind of judging on too. So that could be a
mhm.
downside or it could be an upside, but either way, it affects almost everything having a crowd there, especially a crowd that big and that reactive to what's happening and I would say that educated on what's happening. So,
Yeah, for
yeah, it
sure.
was
It
it
was
was
it was
pretty
nice.
crazy. It was a good event though. It was a really good event and I enjoyed it, and of course there's controversies surrounding it now and all that, but we'll get into
Oh,
that
it's
here
wild.
soon.
It's wild. So I can't wait. Let's get into
Yeah,
this.
for sure. So yeah, we'll just start off with the recap. That's probably going to take a decent amount of time anyway because I kind of wanted to go through a little bit of every fight. So we'll
Cool.
start there with UFC 284 recap. Um Obviously, I mean, if you didn't watch or you don't remember because maybe you're drinking too much, I don't know. It was there was two title fights. one of which was the lightweight title fight, Makhachev versus Volkanovski. Volkanovski is coming up from featherweight. So, with that being said, there was an interim title fight for the championship at featherweight, and that was with Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. Both of these were really, really good and entertaining fights. I enjoyed them both. There was good action going throughout. Neither one of them were really boring. And yeah,
Not at all.
I thought it was a great night of fights, like I said, and for being the co-main and the main event in two title fights, it was damn good. So,
It
uh,
was. No, absolutely.
and if you didn't watch, you're now finding out that Islam Makhachev wound up winning after 5 rounds. He won a decision. Um, it was a back and forth fight. It was good, like I said, and yeah, he came out the champ. Uh, and one thing that I want to correct myself on because I did say something incorrectly last show, but I had mentioned that I didn't know for sure, but I knew that Volk was number one pound for pound, and I thought Islam was like at 3 or 4 or something like that, or I think I said 4 or 5. I don't remember. Either which way, I did not realize he was actually listed as the number 2 pound for pound fighter in the UFC, like overall. So that was apparently the first time in history that number 1 versus number 2 has ever happened in the pound
Oh
for
wow.
pound rankings. Because usually, like for the most part, it's usually the champs, right, of every division that wind up on the pound for pound
Right.
list. Unless someone has like a just lost the belt and then he'll still be in the mix somehow. So because of the fact that this is how it wound up. It's the first time, like I said, in history that it's been number 1 versus number 2 because Volkanovski went up in weight, and that's why that wound up happening. So, and a lot of people go up in weight these days or go down in weight sometimes even. So, it is something that can happen again sometime soon instead of never having happened before like this time. But, yeah, that was a pretty interesting fact. I misspoke, like I said, I didn't look it up or anything, so my bad. But, I did not realize Islam being a new champ, and not so big, not so crazy of a fight schedule in his past. Like, I didn't think he was number 2 pound for pound, so that's why I said what I said, but it is what it is, right? Gotta get 'em all
Yeah,
right.
for sure. I mean, he came out of the woodworks, a little bit, with his dominance. But I mean, I'll leave my commentary to that part of the
Well,
segment.
here's what I was talking about, but this is the rankings for after the fight. Okay, so this just came out like Tuesday, I think. Um,
Yeah,
Alexander Volkanovski is still number 1 pound for pound, and that just it's a testament to all of his past fights. The strength of schedule, his title defenses, all of his opponents and all of the adversities he's had to go through. And I mean, and for the performance he put on against Makachev, because that was that was uh that was a pretty good performance if you were doubting him, because he may have lost, but he still came out on top, being the number 1 pound for pound. So the rankings didn't change when it came to 1 and 2. They stayed the same regardless of who won. But I don't know what I mean, I don't know how you feel. How do you feel about that? You think that maybe he should have gotten taken
so
down a notch?
no, you know what? Honestly, no. I this is why I'm trying to hold it in, but I mean, fuck it, we're gonna
Say
go
what you
for
gotta
it.
say.
So
Yeah, we're gonna get through
I
it.
might as well go for it. Uh, this fight was so impressive. I regret every bet I made against him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because when I saw his fight, I even made a bigger bet for him to win.
Oh,
I
shit.
didn't win. I didn't win, of course,
Yeah.
but I was true fan. He made me a true fan of Volkanovski. His fitness. He was mentally prepared. He stuck in the fight the entire time. Even then, when Islam got the clinch on him and had his back, he didn't give up. He stayed fighting. To me, honestly, he won the fight. He totally won the fight. So it's complete bullshit. And everything that Islam is going on in media being, oh, I'm the best, I'm proving the best, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you could suck a dick, bro. You
Yeah.
didn't do shit. You
No, I
didn't do
mean,
shit.
at the end of the fight, you know, if you were to look at a picture of both of them, you would see Makachev has way more marks on his face, and
Oh,
that's
for
just
sure.
because Volk caught him a few times, and we'll get into that here.
Oh,
But
Volk dropped him. Oh,
yeah,
it was
uh,
intense. It was so fucking intense.
yeah, I mean, he dropped him a few times, and like I said, we'll get into that here. But starting
Yeah.
from the bottom, we had a
Oh
draw
my
to
god.
start off the night. Like, what kind of bullshit when you're betting is it to unless you bet on the draw, then you want some damn money. Hell yeah, David.
Yeah.
New respect for Volk after that fight for sure. I mean, I didn't doubt him, but I do have more respect for him after that fight. That's for sure,
Yeah, for sure. This fight was totally upsetting. I mean, I can only imagine watching this fight and being like, "What the fuck?"
dude.
I know for a fact when I was just watching my bets and I
Yeah.
saw it go void, I was like, "You motherfucker!" So instead
Yep.
of like $1,000, I was only gonna win like 300, all because of this one fucking
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, dude, mine went down too, and here's the thing, okay, Menefield came out and was busting up Crute, like, hardcore. He was fucking him up right away in the first round. He caught him a bunch of times, dropped him a bunch of times, but Crute is, like, one of those fucking hard-nosed guys that doesn't quit, and he doesn't go out
Right.
easy. He's got a fucking apparently, he's got a head made of stone because nobody
Yeah.
can break him. I don't think I've ever seen him, well, I'm not gonna say that because I could be wrong. I haven't looked at it in a while, but the past 2 fights that I've watched him fight, he's always getting hit like crazy, and he gets dropped, but he never stays down long enough for anybody to finish him. So and this was the same way, and the problem that happened is they both got so fucking tired, they didn't know what to do anymore.
Oh, Minifield gave up so bad. Even in the third round, he
Dude,
was
in the
throwing
second
those
round.
punches.
Yeah.
Well, he was. They were throwing bombs, but in the third round, as what I'm saying is like he got like a few second win right there in the first minute. Started throwing the blows, throwing, and then is like,
Yep.
I have no more. I'm
Yeah.
gassed, and
Yeah.
that's why ultimately I was a draw. It was so stupid.
Well, and the problem, I mean, Menefield would have won if he did not get a point taken. And, you
Oh, you're
know,
right. Yeah, I
people
forgot
talk
he got a
about,
point taken.
yeah, people talk about the fact that points should be taken a lot more and a lot easier than what they do now. Apparently, the ref did warn him once or twice, but there was definitely not the amount of warnings that normally the fighters normally get. So, like, to me, I didn't even think he had warned him. So, later, I heard that he did, but I guess it wasn't like where,
I
any
I did
cameras or
see
mics.
I did see one warning. He did say
Really?
something.
Okay.
Yeah, he did say one time. But ultimately, I you could see that he like fully
Oh,
grabbed
yeah.
onto the cage, and you're like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so Crute was trying to take him down. He had he's like trying to do a double leg
Hmm.
and he was working at it and grinding and fucking he kept getting Menifield in the spot where he thought he was going to take him down and then he just couldn't take him down. And when he finally picked him up enough to get him to the ground, Menifield grabbed the cage with like full wrap around the cage with his fingers and held himself up. And it was weird. It was like a delayed reaction. The ref was like, "Did I just see that? Did you see
Hmm.
that? I saw that. Okay, hold on, time out." And then he's like, "Yeah, hold
Right.
on." And he just took the point right away. So that's what caused the draw because I think Benefield would have barely skirted that one out if he and got that win if he didn't do that. But because of
For
that,
sure. Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't put together a 10-8 round after that. So there was no way to get that point back. So there it is. You got to draw, especially when you have, 1-1 on the rounds. But it
Yeah.
just, it
Especially,
was,
I mean, it's not needed. I mean, if he was conditioned enough as a fighter, you could have got back up. You know, you could okay, he got you taken down. You could have got back up, threw more significant strikes. You know, tried to dominate. You know, on the feet. He didn't even try. He was just so done. It was ridiculous.
well, his problem was he blew his load, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, he tried so hard to get that finish and Crute just wouldn't go down. and he wouldn't stay down, and he wouldn't go out. So,
Hmm.
and if Menifield was smart, he would have got him in the right position on the ground, you know, got in a dominant position and put him in a submission, and then he could have ended it. I mean, unless Krug's
Right.
like a master jiu-jitsu guy, which I don't think he might be a black belt, but he's probably not that high level from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But maybe Menifield doesn't have the skills to do that either. Should strikes outweigh ground control in the scoring? Well, with the new scoring criteria, honestly, David, yeah, strikes do outweigh ground control because now the new criteria says that pretty much damage is like the biggest thing that they score on now. So if you get like ground, if you're getting held down, but you get up and you fucking beat the shit out of someone and their face is all fucked up and you there's visible damage, that outweighs all that ground game from what I understand. And I just heard a short breakdown about this the other day. So that's my understanding of the things now. So I mean, if you see someone that's all beat up, like that's what kind of trips me out about the Makachev and Volkanovski fight because you saw all of the damage on Islam's face. And
Tons.
Volk had a cut here and there too, but I mean, if once they got all
It was
wiped
very
down,
minor.
yeah, once they got wiped down, like Volkanovski was fine. Makachev was just beat up, man. His eyes were all fucked up. He had a lot of visible damage. So, unfortunately, I think that is the way it goes. The scoring system is just fucked up. That's the thing. Plain and simple. The 10-9 must system is stupid and they
Hmm.
need to come I don't have the answer of what to do, but they need to come up with something that's going to change it because I don't know. What they score on now, these judges fucking don't know what they're looking at, don't know what they're looking for. And I think that they're trying to make it easier for the judges to score fights better, but they're not making it better. It's kind of getting worse.
How do they even pick a ref like or for the fight? Okay, you're
A
gonna
ref or the
score
judge?
the judge. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you pick it? Oh, hey, you're in the crowd. You're in the crowd. Hey, you look smart. Come here, you fucking nerd.
Well, here's the thing. They have official judges, right? They have a pool of judges and a pool of referees. Yeah. But most of these judges have come from boxing. So they're all used to boxing. Yeah. They don't
Yeah,
know
fucking.
none of them have the I mean, I've heard of all of these, like, not conventions, but, like, meetings, like, big meetings that they've had with, like, a conference with all of
Mhm.
the judges to go over judges should be former fighters? Yeah, well, the problem with that, though okay, so that's what I
Yeah,
was getting
they
into,
they would
David.
they
Good
would they would
point.
they would they would be like, "Up, I hate this fucking guy."
No, that's the thing. Unfortunately, there would be biased guys that I mean, there's already guys that are on the commentary team that get called out for being biased towards fighters or calling a fight biasly because they have some kind of vested interest in one or the other, or their former training partners, or their former opponents, or their former teammates, blah blah blah. So, unfortunately, judges like former fighters as judges might not be the way to go. I feel like that's the way to go when it comes to being the most educated. They would definitely be the most educated. Aside from maybe coaches. Coaches might be the way, a retired coach, but the problem is again, the biases are gonna overlap everything, unfortunately. There's not too many people that can put aside the fact that they were close with somebody and be able to say, "Well, I can be unbiased about how I judge this fight." So, and they also know what everybody goes through, so they might be biased in a way that isn't towards someone specific, but towards feeling bad for somebody, because they know what they went through. They might know their backstory, all that. And there's
Yeah, where
insider
they were trained.
information kind of thing, they're always going to be involved in the game. So, an ex-fighter and an ex-coach will always know something that other people don't know because of all the talk between all the camps, and they
Mhm.
see each other at the UFC PI. They see each other in media obligations. I mean, regular judges could have favorites too. No, no, you're definitely right. You're definitely right about that, David. But I just feel like it might be more prevalent when it comes to having fighters in there. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, you could be right. Like I thought that for a long time too, but I listened to some different podcasts and people talking about it, and they brought up the point that stuff like that could happen. People could have favorites, and and that might influence them. I don't think there's a perfect way to
Well,
go about it.
and you think about, okay, I'll go to boxing for a second, but you think about Mayweather. Mayweather didn't do shit in some of his fights, and he never lost.
Right.
So there's money or
So
you're highly favored.
yeah, so I will say in boxing, you're right. The money is there. The corruption is there. In MMA, the corruption's not so much there as it is being uneducated. There's only
Hmm.
one very, very controversial judge. His name is Douglas Crosby, and he's like a stunt man, right? So he's like a fanboy. So pretty much he'll do anything to get fighters. For the stories I've heard, okay, he'll do anything to get fighters to fucking like him, basically. So he'll get them. He knows all of them are trying to get into the acting game and trying to get into being a you know like somebody that is in movies and in any kind of way. So he'll get them like stunt roles or be like, "Oh, yeah, I'll get you in. You could be a stunt man, blah blah blah." And he's just trying to buddy up to people, right? So all the people that snub him and all the people that don't like him and all that shit, he's biased towards them. He against them, I mean, and he judges poorly towards them. This is a big story. If you look up Ray Longo, Matt Serra, Li Quinta, they all had problems with him, so they've all always constantly asked that he's not a judge for any of their fights or anybody in their camp. So
Hmm.
there is those types of things, but you know, I don't think there's too much corruption when it comes to money and people being paid off. That's been proven yet. So I don't think it's like
You're right,
boxing
because the
in that.
fighters don't get paid enough either. So where's the
Yeah,
money coming
exactly, exactly.
from?
So anyway, wow, that was a long rant. But no, that's what I like though, people have comments and we get into it. So that's what's cool. I
Yeah,
like it.
absolutely.
So anybody else, if you want to jump in and talk about things, just say something, and once I see it, we'll address it and we'll get into it. So, but moving
Absolutely.
on, the next fight, it was Justin Taffa versus Parker Porter. Talk about a fucking quick one, huh?
Jaw dropping. The
Dude.
the power I saw him throw in that punch, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
"Oh."
just look how far he turned his head with that punch and how limp that dude's body went.
Yeah.
Bam. And then
Oh.
he got caught with an uppercut after the fact. So
Mhm.
he looked like a
Oh,
helpless
man.
fucking doll just flopping on the ground. Dude, it was fucked up. It was fucked up. But
That was a great punch. I mean, honestly, I had a lot of confidence in Tafa going into this fight, and he just proved it right there.
yeah,
He had some nice strikes, and even um, with
conspiracy theory.
Porter, with
Fucking tough.
Porter, I know. I saw with Porter coming out. Porter really tried to keep the momentum and pressure onto Tafa, but man, Tafa stayed so confident. And then when he took that nice one hitter quitter,
Dude,
it was Dunzo. I dropped jaw. I was like, oh god,
he's
to
just
be on the other side of that.
so calm and so nonchalant about what he did. Like he just walked in there like nothing, just cool as fucking whatever, and stood there. And they're like, okay, it's time to go. And he just gets
Hmm.
in there, throws a few punches, kind of gets out of the way of a couple, and bam, drops him. Done. Fucking
Yeah,
straight out.
I think the whole fight itself was less than 25 punches.
Yeah, oh yeah, I don't even think it went I don't know if it went a whole minute or if it went just over a minute. It was definitely not long at all because they had a
Yeah.
lot of filler time between this fight and the next fight. So, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it's impressive. Tafa got that fucking KO. That's what he's good at. I mean, these are the big boys. You get that one big punch and you're out. So,
Yeah, it was nice. I liked it. That's just pure UFC right there.
yeah, I mean, Parker Porter, a lot of people were talking him up saying that it seems like he's on the come up, but Tafa's just one of those bad motherfuckers that like he just acts like it's no big deal. It's like, "Yep, I knocked you out. I knocked you out. Whatever. I'm gonna go have a drink."
Super confident, super humble, not even an issue.
Mhm.
Didn't even think twice.
Yeah. I was excited about that one, especially after that bullshit draw.
Hmm.
So,
I know that definitely had to wake the fans up too.
yeah. Well, but then of course, unfortunately, they have the downtime. between the fights because,
Mhm.
they kind of can't just bring out the next fighters. They got to kill a little bit of time so that they're keeping on
Right.
some kind of schedule. I mean, the UFC is not like boxing where they'll draw it out for like hours. Sometimes boxing,
Yeah.
you'll get more talk time than you get actual fight time. So,
Right.
and that they'll just draw that shit out. But with UFC, usually they'll extend it a little bit. They'll put a little filler in there, but most of the time it's like, let's get to it and get these fights going.
For sure.
I was
I know
act
too, they have advertisements and stuff that they have to show,
Oh yeah, for
like, in
sure.
between, so
Yeah.
they gotta get that in, get their money.
Yeah, I mean, look at the fucking canvas right there full of uh, you know,
Right.
yeah, full of
Right.
all the promotion that they have to do.
Yeah,
But
I know.
yeah, it was weird because once we got to the co-main, I was like, it's only like what time? It's not even I couldn't even remember the time, but I was just like, it's way early right now. So it was
Right.
kind of crazy. But moving on to the next one, we had Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. So yeah, Yair doing Yair shit right here. That's I mean, that's almost exactly the same GIF I
Wait
posted
a
or
minute.
I what?
Hold on, wait a minute. You just passed, Della and Brown.
Oh, damn. You're right. Holy shit.
I was like, "Wait a
See?
minute. Hold on, wait."
Who's this drinking out? Oh, Lindsay.
The
um, damn, you're
old
right.
blunt glass.
Dude, I fucking fully spaced that fight. I fully spaced that fight. And that was a good fight too. I don't have anything to show for that because I'm dumb. And
Oh,
I
man.
knew I got through shit way too fast. And I had everything too. So I don't know how I missed that one. But you're right. Jack
Oh,
Della,
man.
Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. Jack Della got that win. I was 100% wrong on that one.
I thought,
I
honestly though, okay, so on this one, Randy Brown came in swinging in hot. He had the length, he had the height. He was fully in it, ready to go, fully engaged, throwing strikes. He was dancing all around the ring and then blew it. He fucking blew it by backing up into the fucking cage and giving Della that gap, closing the gap in the distance, and then
yeah.
all over.
I just underestimated Della, which is dumb of me. David says it's okay. Brown doesn't deserve to be talked about. I mean, I thought I was high on him a bit. We're just gonna watch Yair throwing this flying knee for a few minutes, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was kind of high on Brown because Randy Brown. I followed him for a while, not for any particular reason except for I just kept hearing about him, so it was one of those things. His nickname's Rude Boy, so it's kind of catchy. Rude Boy Randy Brown. But he's so fucking skinny. It's weird. And he's got those long
He
ass
is, yeah.
limbs. So I thought he was gonna kind of be like an Adesanya, like John Jones type fight, right? I've
Yeah.
seen him kind of work that way, but for some reason that wasn't happening. He just didn't turn it on. Della is just a badass. I shouldn't have bet against him considering his last 3 fights he's gotten a TKO win. So I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? He's undefeated in the UFC. He's only got what 4
Mhm.
fights now, I think. He came from the
Right.
Contender Series. So, yeah, that was dumb on my part. I underestimated him big time and yeah, that fucked up my parlay.
Like I said, that distance that Randy Brown had, it looked like that kid's toy where the punch where you had the boxing glove and you hit the button and it
Yeah.
extend out. That was his arms. He was like bam, bam, just kept going.
Yeah.
It was a disappointing. Definitely, all my parlays were shot after this. I was like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah,
Uh,
I will say this: I'll never bet against Jack Della Maddalena again because,
Cheers to that.
yeah,
Cheers to
because
never.
that was a dumbass move on my part. I should have never bet against him. I should have known better. But that's why I don't bet usually because I fucking suck at betting. I put too much into it. I get myself all twisted up, and then yeah, I need to go with my gut instinct, and I need to stop thinking about it so much.
Right.
So next pay per view, I might do some more bets just to make it interesting. I mean, it gives us something to talk about. At least I can talk about how bad I am. I'd rather talk about how good I am at betting, but
Right. I know.
and also like
Uh,
I need to stop making these stupid big parlays. Like it's
oh yeah, you
too
sent me your bets, and I was like, oh, like
it's too
It
far
looked like
fetched.
every one of your fights were like a submission or a knockout, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, so what I did, I just tried something. I went through and I was looking at their past like 3 or 4 fights and just seeing how they ended it, seeing who they fought against and how much of a chance there was of them doing that to their, present opponent. So,
Mhm.
it was just a stupid strategy. It didn't work, but I tried something and, I only lost $20 total. I mean, I was going for a G
Yeah,
and 3 Gs to win on,
right.
one was like 1,100, the other one was like 3,200 if I would have won. That's what I'm saying. Two these parlays are just too far fetched. I need to go for something a little more realistic. But for me, I hate betting. I don't like I don't like gambling all that much, unless I'm like in Vegas. So for me, it's like I got to make it worth it, and a couple $100 would be cool. Winning like putting in like $50 to win 70, that's not enough for me. That's not gonna work. So
Right,
yeah, I'm
right.
always picking shit that's way too far fetched.
I know.
Anyway, now that
I
you
have a new bet that I'm gonna go for, and this is totally off topic, but I'm gonna pick the Suns to win the NBA championship, and I'm going for Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl.
oh, you're doing
100
futures
oh my gosh, $100 to win $15,000. I
for the
mean,
is
if
that
it
on
hits
the Lions or is that for both of them?
for
Oh, you
both
parlayed them.
together, yeah, parlayed them, just the two, just NBA, with them getting Kevin Durant, and then the
Yeah,
Lions with how good they ended the season.
right.
I'm like, yeah, it could happen. They're top 10 right now. I mean, it could happen. You never
Yeah.
know. So,
I mean, you never know.
shut
You don't
up.
know about that Super Bowl. But,
uh,
yeah, I mean, crazier shit's happened, I guess.
for
So
sure.
now that you've seen, Yair throwing that flying knee about 35,000 times, we'll tell you how the rest of it happened, and that was with Yair getting the submission in round 2, uh, locked up the triangle. Josh Emmett didn't know what to do with himself. He kinda got beat up. They went back and forth a little bit. I was surprised. Josh Emmett is usually a really big, heavy hitter, lands a lot of good punches and knocks people down, knocks people out. He just couldn't get his hands on Yair. So, I'm not
I didn't know much about Rodriguez going into this fight. After watching his fight, totally a fan. He stayed so confident. You can tell by him throwing his strikes. He was throwing those massive leg kicks. I don't know if you have a picture, but man, the way he kicked Emmett right on his right side of his
yeah,
ribs, I mean, his foot was like entirely imprinted on this dude's rib. I
right.
couldn't believe it. It was intense. I don't
Yeah.
even want to know what that felt like.
Nah, that's nasty. I mean, Josh Emmett, as you could tell by his tattoos, if you saw the fight or if you saw any pictures of him, that dude is whiter than fucking white, right? So his
Hmm.
tattoos are bright as shit because he's the palest motherfucker and he's a redhead. So it's like, I mean, yeah. So of course everything's gonna show up on him. Nothing against
Hmm.
redhead or pale people, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so everything's gonna show up twice as much on him. But yeah, I mean, Yair's got those kicks. I mean, he does that. He just has dynamic strikes. It's crazy. He's constantly throwing flying shit, spinning shit, everything. And he does, like that backwards up elbow that he did to Korean Zombie was
Hmm.
insane. Like, who even thinks of that shit? And for him to like do it in the moment and get a KO out of it, like it's insane. I like it, and I mean, here's the thing: he went on this little bit of a break where he was basically gonna just retire because he said he didn't have the passion, things weren't going his way. I think there was contractual disputes and all this other shit, so he didn't fight for a little while. He pretty much, I mean, everybody thought he was gonna retire, but then he came back, and he got a few good wins, and now he's the interim champ. So he's on track to
Yeah, I
become the
know.
undisputed champ. But I don't know that he can handle Volkanovski, because Volk is another kind of animal, and Yair is a great fighter, and he does a lot of crazy, dynamic, weird, unique shit. But I don't
There's
know that.
definitely a height difference too. I mean,
Yeah, and a lot of people would say that Josh Hammond is kind of in the same field as Volkanovski when it comes to body type. But Josh Emmett is one of those guys that just wings heavy punches and doesn't really have a lot of technique behind it. Volkanovski's a lot smarter fighter. He's a lot more experienced, I think, and he just puts everything together really well. So Josh Emmett just doesn't have all that, unfortunately. So
He came out striking too. I mean, I thought Emmett would do a little bit better, but man, he started throwing haymakers and they weren't even trying to connect.
right, yeah, Yair was just a step ahead every time. So there was nothing he could really do. And I mean, once Yair gets his legs wrapped around you like that, Josh Emmett just fell right into it, and that was it. It was over.
Yeah.
So
Everybody's got to eat.
For sure. And Yair, I mean, Yair was super emotional and extremely happy about his win. I mean, obviously, it's not the undisputed belt, but I mean, he's still considered a champ. It may be interim, but he's still considered a champ. He's still going to get that championship money, and he's in line. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be fighting Volkanovski next. But they have been talking about the fact that they might make they might make him, defend his interim championship. That's only happened once before with Renan Barão. I don't remember who was the champ, but I think they kept getting hurt. I think it was Dominic Cruz kept getting hurt. So Renan Barão was the interim champ, and then he had to defend the interim championship, which is very fucking weird. Usually, if you're the interim champ, then your next fight's gonna be against the undisputed champ to unify the belts. But
Hmm.
that didn't happen that time. So, and Volkanovski's saying if they're willing to give him the rematch with Islam right away because of the controversy around the fight and all that, then he might do that. And if that's the case, then Yair would probably have to defend the interim championship, which is very weird. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see what Volk does and what the UFC wants to do.
Yeah, for sure. It
Uh
should be pretty good. Honestly, Volk said in the end of his fight, he says, "Well, Rodriguez has the interim belt. I mean, I got to go take care of business." But I don't know. I mean, after the controversy from this week, from the entire fight, I could totally see him going to fight Islam and
yeah.
trying to have that rematch right away because I think absolutely he won.
Well, Volk did say that he wanted to be an active champ, and he wants to defend both titles if he got them. So if
Hmm.
he wants to do that, I mean, his best bet would be to go down, fight Yair, be the undisputed champ again, let some more contenders come up, and then go back and either fight Islam again or whoever has the belt again. Because he showed and proved that he can hang uh in the 155 division. So
Honestly, I think he felt strong too, because I
yeah,
mean, you're not cutting as much weight. You can eat a little bit more, kind of, let your body recover. So it makes a huge difference.
definitely. Speaking of, we'll move on to Volkanovski versus Makachev. So this is round one. I kind of took a few things from every round. I mean, Makachev did what he usually does. He gets that dominant position and he takes people down and he tries to hold them there. Volkanovski is not the type of fighter to be held down, though. He's a scrappy little guy, and he's strong as
Absolutely.
fuck. Yeah, and Volk said himself. Everybody talks about the strength of Makachev, but Volk said he wasn't that strong. He pretty much was like, "Yeah, I just waited for my opportunity to get up, and I got up." And he's not wrong. I mean, he didn't get held down very much, but
I mean, it was a total of like 7 minutes control time throughout the entire fight. It is a lot.
yeah, yeah, and I mean that's a testament to Volk's, you know, willingness to get up and or being able to get up because normally
Hmm.
Makachev has way more control time than that. So
Yeah,
Islam
he
did
defended
show
real well.
Yeah, Islam did show some striking though. Everyone knows he can strike better than Khabib, what everyone says, and I mean I kind of believe that from what I've seen. But as you can see here, he dropped Volk down to a knee with that punch, and he followed up with a kick. So he was on top of him. It's just he wasn't landing anything completely pure and flush. But he dropped Volk a couple times. We'll see the other one in a bit, but
I think honestly, Islam really wanted the submission over the knockout. And I know we talked about that last week that you really believe that he would go for more of the submission than a knockout, and it
Yeah.
proved it. Honestly, he felt way more comfortable, with his back.
He's just one of those guys that is better at grappling, so he's gonna take him down, he's gonna control him, he's gonna dominate him on the ground, suffocate him, and then put him in a sub and get him to tap. So that's
Mhm.
usually what their MO is. All these Dagestani guys, um, but he just couldn't do it to Volk. He couldn't control him. He couldn't keep him there. Uh, but moving on to round two, Volkanovski showed a lot in round 2. He dropped he dropped Makhachev, uh, I think a couple times, not in this round. He definitely dropped him once in this round. It looks weird right there, kinda like a slip, but he did clip him with a punch as he was going backwards. But I
Yeah,
mean,
they didn't count this as a knockdown.
they didn't? Not officially?
Nope.
Oh, shit. Well, that's crazy because I thought for sure because they showed the replay in between rounds, and it looked like he clipped him clean, and, I mean, I know Makhachev was going backwards, but, I mean, why did he just drop like that, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So
The one that they really counted, because it's, when they were showing the stats of the fight, it was the one in the fifth round where, Islam's face was like,
yeah.
"Oh, hey."
Oh, yeah. Well, then there was more of, Makhachev doing what he does, taking down Volk, but Volk was just not able to be held down. He just kept getting up. Look how easily, he got taken down. He turned right away, got the position, overhook, and got himself up and threw a knee in the process. He didn't connect, but he did throw that knee in there. And yeah, I mean, that's what
Right.
Volk does. That's one of the things I pointed out last week that he's good at getting up and he's good at getting out of, you know, those positions that Makhachev would definitely wanna hold him in.
Yeah, he's quick. Definitely when he was getting the underhook too and, staying active, he said, "All right, well, I can't go this way. I'm going to, switch it up, go the other way." He got free and then he went back to the feet. He could tell, his training camp, prepare for this fight was definitely significant. I think they really did take the time to practice, defending and getting out of these kind of submissions. It really shows. I was so impressed on how motivated he was. It wasn't just like even though well, it was probably the first round where Islam really had his back for the most significant amount of time. You could tell he was still fighting and he kept cheering on the crowd. He's like, "Let's go, move us back up." He ain't doing nothing. Oh, I just hit my mic. But I mean, he literally was acting. He's like, "He ain't doing shit, why you keep us here?"
So that was yeah, when he did all that, that was the 4th round. I actually have that coming up. But,
Oh, is that the
and
further?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, in the first round, Volk was just kinda one of those it was just one of those things where he was, like, feeling it out for the most part. But yeah, that's actually one of the things I saw the most, and he admitted to making a mistake. I don't know if it was the 4th or if it was I think it might have been the 3rd where he made a mistake where he was talking shit to, Islam's corner, and he was too busy talking shit that he wound up getting put in a bad position because he was too
Oh
busy
yeah.
talking shit. So, but, yeah, moving on to the 3rd round, this is I so a lot of people said that 2nd round was the swing round, and that was the round that it coulda gone either way, and pretty much, that's the round that either lost it or should have won it for Volkanovski. I mean, Volk thinks that he won the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th round. The 5th round, there's no doubt. The
Yeah,
3rd round,
absolutely.
I think is almost as 100% as the 5th round for him. The 5th round was 100% his round, but the 3rd round, there was a little bit of back and forth, but Volk kept landing lots of punches. I think this is where a lot of the damage came in, or at least started. So, that was, that
I mean, the
was
power of those punches. I mean, oh my gosh.
oh, yeah, and then he's catching him as he's trying to get out of the way. So, he's kinda using his leverage or, the momentum of him swinging his head one way to connect with that punch, and, yeah, those are the types of punches that get people knocked out, or at least knocked down. So, I'm kinda surprised that he didn't drop him in this exchange, but, in the next one, he definitely did. This is one where I mean, again, it looks weird, but I'm pretty sure he dropped him in this sequence here. Uh 'Cause there's a lot of movement, it's nonstop, you know, Islam's trying to Islam's trying to tie him up like all the time. That's pretty much what he's trying to do at every moment because Volk is just nonstop and throwing those crazy punches.
I think he knew too. His stand-up game was. I mean, even though he can throw significant strikes, Islam didn't want to give any Volk any type of advantage or opportunity to where he can get caught, and that's what he really tried to do, take away his
Y-
game.
Yeah. And I mean, but Volkanovski's so fast. Like I don't know if that's what threw
Oh,
off
for sure.
Islam, but yeah, he's just
Did
so
you see the
fast.
pictures they were throwing up of him in rugby?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember I
Did you
told you
see that?
he weighed like 214 pounds at one point in time? His
Yeah, I
face is
saw
all
these
round.
pictures. I was like, "Oh my gosh." For him
Yeah.
to be this size, I mean, absolutely, there's quickness, there's strength. I mean, over a course of time, absolutely, your body's gonna adapt to that kind of size, and you're just gonna get, stronger and improve.
Yeah. I think actually this might have been I might have been thinking of a different one because I think he actually hooked his leg and that's how he got him to the ground. Yeah. I think
Oh, right there.
he hooked
Mhm.
his leg. Yeah. For some reason, I thought that was the one where he dropped him. But anyway, in the fourth round, this was pretty much Islam's round. Like regardless, he was landing a lot of punches. This is when he dominated on the ground and kind of held Volk on the ground for a long time, a lot of control time, a lot of submission attempts, but I don't know, Volkanovski for some reason just couldn't put it together in this one. Here's some crackling. You hear that?
No, I don't hear it on my side.
Oh, that was weird. Okay. Yeah, it went away. Cool. I thought something was happening because I kept hearing some crackling in my headphones. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Uh But yeah, anyway, so this round, and this is when he kind of had him on his back, and this is when Volkanovski was doing a lot of the talking. Like I said, it was the fourth round. There was just a lot of talking going on. Volk was just talking mad shit, and he said in an interview that he was basically telling him, "Is this all you got? Like you're just gonna lay here and hold on to me?" He's all, "This is a championship fight. You're supposed to be fighting." So he just kept talking mad shit, trying to get in his head. And I'm sure, like you said, the crowd was hyping him up so much on everything. And I'm sure, we talked about it earlier, the influence of the crowd. And I think Volk was playing to that a lot. It did cost him at one point in time, like I said, but you know, he was feeling himself quite a bit.
I mean, definitely too with the crowd. Think of it how it was for Islam's corner to even try to communicate or give him some kind of instruction. Oh no, they made it difficult. Even when the rounds were going on and the rounds were over and they're at, they're taking their 30 seconds, whatever. You could barely hear the coaches talk. In the corners, and you're just like, wow, this crowd is like insane. They
Yeah.
really were just. I mean, if it was a strategy, that it worked. It totally worked because you could have heard shit.
Yeah. Well, imagine being there, like being in that crowd. That would have been crazy. That would have been a damn good experience to be there
Hmm.
with a crowd that was that hyped and that into it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
For
that's what
sure.
made those fights a lot better too.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think it was definitely better. Going back to the Brazil fight UFC that we just had. Where the crowd was like seriously booing everybody
Booing
that
the
wasn't
shit out of
Brazil.
everybody.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. No, they were just totally happy that it was a brawl and they
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, it was good. So going to the fifth round, Volkanovski, I mean, this is when he really dropped him and really
Hmm.
caught him right here. And this is why he won the fifth round, no doubt. I mean, just a flush punch, dropping him to the ground, getting on top of him. You could tell right even before that punch that Islam's kind of already breathing hard. He's got his mouth open.
Yep.
He's lucky he didn't get knocked out right there. And he's already got damage on his face too from all those punches from before.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that was
I
like
mean,
I thought he was gonna finish him, but he
I
just
I thought he did too. Honestly, I really did. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, you took the time, you set him up. You can tell, he was throwing those little dingers. Boom, came in with that right hook and just dropped him like a nothing. Oh, it should have stuck. I wish it would have.
Well, I figured that with how tired it seemed like Makachev was, and all the damage he had taken already, with that punch right there, I was like, "Oh, this is it," because Volk's gonna turn it up. It's a minute left in the fifth round. He knows what's up, and he's gonna try to
Hmm.
finish this in front of his home crowd. But he just couldn't. He couldn't get it done. He did finish strong though. He was on top. He was in Islam's guard, but he was raining down punches, trying to finish it. Uh, he just couldn't get the finish though, unfortunately. And then he didn't get the win. He wound up losing. Uh,
Right.
the scorecards were a little weird, but I feel
Oh
like
yeah, I saw Bruce Buffer. He was like trying to figure out the scores. It took a second,
yeah, it
you
was it
know.
was odd. I just
It
think
was.
that. Oh, go ahead.
No, so what I was gonna say is, even in the midst of it too, we see all the Twitter pops up and stuff like that. There were few from far none, of people going for Islam and thinking like Islam, won the fight. I really don't think there's that many, if not any, because everyone was so impressed of how Volkanovski came up to another weight class, came up, significantly held his own the entire time, continued 5 rounds. I mean, no one, I highly doubt anybody knew this fight would go the distance and go all 5 rounds.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna go all 5 because I know what both of them can do. To me, I think even taking out the fact that Volkanovski went up a weight class, taking that out of the mix completely and just judging it on the performance of the 2 men in the cage instead of worrying about all those other things, right? If you just take
Hmm.
that, it's so hard to call because, who
Yeah.
cares what weight class Volkanovski usually fights in? He came up to 155 and fought a guy at that weight and made it a damn good contest and what some feel like was his win. So, regardless of all that shit, it was a great fight, and I mean, it could have gone either way. I think he did a lot more than a lot of other people that have won a belt, on a decision and taken the belt from a champ. I think Volkanovski did a lot more than a lot of those guys have done. So, and that's why there's all the controversy surrounding it with the bad judging, the bad calls. I mean, here's the thing though. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Volkanovski is going to get this win because they're in Perth, Australia, right? That's his home country." And a lot of times they veered towards giving it to the hometown guy.
Yeah, one of their own.
Yeah, especially for a performance like that, but they didn't do that, so that's what's kinda crazy. Uh, what was the other thing, so it came out, what was it, a couple days later, I think? I don't remember. Anyway, I don't know if you heard about it, but I was trying to think of when it was.
Which part?
No, yeah, I know, get to it, right? So, Dan Hooker is I think he's from New Zealand, but he's one of Volk's teammates, and he pretty much, came out on Twitter and said that, Makhachev was a cheater because he got an IV.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Oh, so is that illegal?
Okay, so that's the whole thing is, yeah, IVs were banned for a long time. Well, they were letting them use it before to rehydrate, right? After a weight cut. That's the
Right.
easiest way to rehydrate is taking an IV, right? But the problem with an
Mhm.
IV is that if you're doing steroids, it can mask the steroid use for a test. So,
Ooh.
because it'll render the test like not able to,
Negative.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
negative.
non-conclusive, non-conclusive.
Non-conclusive, that's what I was looking for, exactly. So, it can do that because of, like, there's something with, like, the plastics in the bag that the IV's in and all this other,
Hmm,
it waters everything down, so it's almost like watering down your piss in a piss test, right? So,
right.
yeah, so it comes back as like, "Oh, I don't know," instead of, like, one way or the other. So, they're saying, okay, so what I heard is that you can only do, 200, what is it?
Milliliters?
Yeah, milliliters. I don't remember if it was 200 or not. I think it was. Um, within a 12-hour period. So it's not a lot. I think it's like 100 or 200 milliliters, in a 12-hour period. So it's not like you can just go and fill yourself up. So
Right.
that's and so then Makhachev's agent or manager, not his agent or his manager, one or the other, came out and said that it's legal to do this much, 1 liter or 2 liters or something like that. It's like, no, that's not right. I think you got it wrong, and I think you fucked up, and everyone's calling him out for it. So they're saying that he pretty much snitched on his own guy, but nobody has proof. That's the problem. Some Dan Hooker and Volkanovski said that they knew that they were told by the actual nurse that administered the IV to him about what happened. So I don't know. It's all hearsay, it's all
Hmm.
rumors, but it's kind of weird that it came out like that. And that's one of the things that I'll be looking out for to see if anything happens. But I don't know. I think by now we might have known. By now they
Yeah.
would have, came out with something and said, "Hey, we're
Could
investigating."
he lose the belt because of this? Let's
If
say
they
Dana
prove
White
that,
comes out.
yeah, if they prove that he actually did do it, then yes, he'll lose the belt and he'll get
So
suspended.
Vegas, if you're listening to this podcast, we want our fucking money back.
Yeah, I mean, other guys that have used an IV and gotten caught have gotten a 2-year suspension. So
Oh God.
if they find out, I mean, obviously the UFC's not going to let him keep his belt if he's suspended for 2 years.
Right.
So
Oh no, absolutely not.
yeah,
Nope.
he'll be stripped of the belt and it'll be over for Makachev for now. I
Just,
mean,
I mean, not against Jones, but he was doing steroids and stuff like that. But they did it to him, so absolutely, it's only fair that they would do it to Islam.
yeah, yeah, they just have to have some kind of proof. And as of right
Yeah,
now, there's no hardcore evidence that actually prove it.
get the nurse.
I mean, if Hooker and Volkanovski are what they're saying are right, but it's just right now it's just hearsay. So who knows?
Yeah,
But anyway, that's
fucking
about it for the
hearsay.
recap on that. Like I said, that was going to take a while because we had a lot to talk about on that one. Um, but yeah, moving on to this week's fight, we got UFC Vegas 69, the flyweight bout with Jessica Andrade versus Aaron Blanchfield, and this was a kind of a last minute type thing. Um, Blanchfield had I think her name was Talia Santos, was supposed to be her opponent, and they weren't supposed to be the main event. It was supposed to be Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen. That was supposed to be the main
Oh,
event
excuse.
fight, but that got
What
scrapped.
happened with that fight? Oh, it just got totally trashed.
Well, they moved it because they were trying to find a main event for another card down the line a little bit. So I
Oh,
think
okay.
another card in March, I think. So they didn't have a main event, so they took that fight, moved it, delayed it a little bit, and then they put well, Blanchfield is a decent name, I guess. She's been pretty dominant lately. She beat Molly McCann, and she beat her pretty dominantly too, which I'll go over that in a minute. But they didn't have another big name for a main event. She's not really a main event fighter yet to carry the card on her
Right.
own. So that's why they brought in Jessica Andrade. And I mean, she just fought like less at that Brazil card you were talking about earlier. She fought on
Yeah, it was literally just almost 2 months.
a few
Not
weeks,
even
no,
probably. Yeah, about a month.
a
About a
month
month.
at the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they bring her in on a week's notice. So like, goddamn,
I mean, she can do it, Brazilian training, and she really didn't even get touched in that last fight. So, I
that's
mean,
true.
she should still be pretty healthy.
She actually probably tired herself out more than anything punching the shit out of Lauren Murphy, because that's all she did. I mean,
Oh my
they went all
gosh.
3 rounds, but Lauren Murphy got her ass
Right.
whooped, and, I mean, Andrade probably just was like, "Well, that was just a long training session pretty much."
I know. You're
It's
like,
fucked
hey, don't
up,
I get
but
lunch or a break?
yeah, so, I mean,
uh,
I'm not really gonna cover the entire, like, the entire main card because it's weird. These fight night cards, they do a lot of shuffling and I don't know why. They put people on the prelims that shouldn't be on the prelims, and then they put people up in the main card that really shouldn't be up in the main card. So there's not a lot of big stuff happening in the main card. So I'll start, I mean, from the bottom. heavyweight bout with Ovince St. Preux versus Felipe Lins.
Hmm.
So St. Prue's a big name. He actually fought John Jones at one point in time, and that was actually one of John Jones's like not great fights. St. Preux kind of put it on him a little bit. Obviously, Jones got the win, and he came out, he came out not really, he didn't really get bothered very much, but he just didn't look very dominant either, like he normally does. So,
Right.
uh,
I think
St.
wasn't there an issue with his training camp too during this fight?
Yeah, it's called cocaine. Them
Hey,
motherfuckers
hey,
always doing something. No,
exactly,
he
exactly.
came out and he came out and said some shit like he didn't even train for St. Preux. Like there's all kinds of stuff that happened because he's just
Uh,
fucking wild, he's always wilding out doing fucking coke,
right.
getting into fights with cop cars, uh getting arrested. I mean, getting into car accidents with hookers in the car, all kinds of shit. So that's just John Jones. He's fucking wild.
Yeah, for
But
sure. We'll see
say
if that's ever changed.
yeah, St. Prue's last fight, he beat Mauricio Shogun Hua, who just recently retired. He's a big name, so that was a good win for St. Preux. Unfortunately, Hua was on his way out already. I mean, that was May of last year, so obviously Shogun was already on his way out, kinda. So he didn't get the best Shogun, but before that, he had 2 losses in a row, and then he had a win against Alonzo Menefield, who we talked about earlier.
Hmm. Honestly, I think they have it right already. They're gonna go with Felipe wins. Lins, sorry. I definitely think he's gonna.
Yeah, St. Prue's one of those guys that comes out, you never really know how he's gonna come out and fight, you know what I mean? He's either gonna be super impressive or he's gonna be just a big letdown and look like he shit the bed, you know? That's kind of the
Right.
fighter he is, and that's why he'll make it to the top and then he'll shit the bed and he'll be back to the bottom fucking fighting on a prelim card like he is now. Yeah. And Felipe Lins, he's kind of got a similar type history here. His last fight was a win, and then there's 2 fights before that were losses. Before that, he had a 4-fight win streak, but that wasn't even in the UFC. He's 2-1 in the UFC. So that tells you a lot about, what's happening with St. Preux right now, getting an opponent like this. It's not a big fight. I like Ovens. He does the Saint the or what is it? The Von Preux choke or something like that? Because it's supposed to be Von Flu, but he does it all the
Oh,
time, and he does it so well that they kinda renamed it after him. Uh, but yeah, I mean, he's a great fighter. I like him. It's just he's super inconsistent. I should say he has the potential to be a great fighter, but he's very inconsistent. So, you never know which fighter you're gonna get when he comes out to fight. But, anyway, moving on to another women's fight, bantamweight. Lena Landsberg versus Myra Buena Silva. So Lena Landsberg is a decent name in the fight game right now. I mean, a lot of people know who she is. You may not know who she is, but I know I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about anybody listening. But no, she's just one of those fighters that has a recognizable name because she's, had a few decent fights. She's been around for a while, but this isn't anything big. These cards aren't very impressive for the next 2 weeks, but it is what it is. W
well, definitely too. Silva is, ranked 14 right now, um, 2 under, and she's favored for the fight. So
Well, I think, Landsberg isn't she
she's
ranked
12.
at 12? Yeah. I was gonna say, I thought it was,
So,
11 or 12.
but she's not favored for the fight at all.
No,
So
well,
they
no,
think Silva is gonna.
she's on a 3-fight losing streak, so that tells you a lot. A lot of times you lose 3 fights in a row in the UFC and you're done. So, Buena Silva, she's got 2 wins in a row. Um, yeah, she doesn't look like she's been in the UFC very long. I haven't really seen her fight. I don't know that I've actually watched Buena Silva fight. So, this should be interesting. I know Lena Landsberg because I've seen her around for quite a while. You know, I've watched a few of her fights, but as far as yeah, as far as this fight, I don't know. This isn't something I'm betting on. This card is not something I would bet on. It's just one of those things, you know. It is the card. So, moving on though, we do have a UFC legend in Jim Miller. He's kind of aging himself out here, especially fighting somebody like Alexander Hernandez, who's already beaten guys that are a lot older but have big names. He fought, I believe, he fought. What was I gonna say? Cowboy Cerrone. Did Cerrone beat him? Hold on, I can't remember. Yeah, Cerrone did beat him, but I mean, he's fought a lot of decent names, and he's got 2 losses in a row, though, recently. So, Jim Miller, I'm surprised he's still around, honestly. He's been around for a long-ass time. I don't know how he's still fighting, but he's putting together wins. He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. Last fight being Cowboy. What are you gonna say? That's John Jones.
It could be the hookers. Who knows?
Dude, Jim Miller. Jim Miller is not that guy. I promise you that. But yeah, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on in this card. Jim Miller being on the card is like that's kind of where he lands these days on a fight night card. Nothing too crazy happening. So yeah, I like watching Jim Miller fight though. Yeah, I mean, they always put these old guys against these like up and coming kind of younger dudes. But I mean, Hernandez does have 2 losses, so it is what it is. Uh Jordan Wright is one of the guys that has a name that has been coming up a lot
Yeah.
lately, and you know, again, nothing spectacular, but he is one of those up and coming guys that I have heard a lot about, and you know, it's the co-main event versus Zach Pauga, but Puega. I don't know how to say his last name. Pauga, I think that's what it is. Jordan Wright's fucking Jordan
I,
Wright's nickname is the Beverly Hills Ninja. What the fuck is that? Hey, this fool has 3 losses in a row though. So I am I getting this guy confused because I could have swore he was on a fucking win streak right now. Jordan Wright. I might be getting him confused with somebody else because everything that I
Jordan, you're
thought
talking.
is absolutely wrong. So what the fuck am I thinking about? Ah, wow. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, so that's awesome. So yeah, a lot of these fighters on this card are on losing streaks. Like, what the fuck? That's it, this is one of those thrown together cards. This is why I was not going to spend a lot of time on this card. 'Cause, first of all, I don't know a lot of these fighters. Like Puega, Pauga, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know this dude. I've never seen him fight. He's only got 1 fight in the UFC, and it was a loss. So we got a guy on a 3-fight losing streak against a guy who's only fought once in the UFC and lost. I guess that's a good way to get somebody a win, right? Maybe this is one of the maybe this is one of those fights that you bet on and you bet for a draw. They both lost.
No, I looked at the fights right now, and I definitely would not go with Wright. He's been submitted and TKO'd in all his fights. Any fight that he lost, it's
Yeah.
because he submitted or TKO'd.
So
So no, thank
let's
you.
get to the fight that actually has something to talk
You're
about.
not
And that'd be
trustworthy
Jessica
in my
Andrade
book.
versus Aaron Blanchfield. Main event, women's flyweight. Oh, it looks like I screwed up on that one. That's cool. Apparently, I didn't write it all in. Dumbass. Jesus, man. I'm just having issues today. I do too, you know? They're still lingering in the
I
air.
blame I blame it on the chemicals. Okay, let's just blame it on the chemicals,
Fuck,
and
man.
it fucked up our entire week.
Hey, if nothing else, we get a couple good drinks out of this, right? Yeah, so this is kind of a weird fight. Again, like I said, it's a replacement fight. Andrade is coming in on a week's notice. She just fought like a month or less ago. Erin Blanchfield fought a few months ago actually, against Molly McCann, and she got a win. Andrade fought Lauren Murphy, and she beat the shit out of her. So I don't even have to tell you about that one. That was a super decisive win.
So this is weird, okay?
Okay,
And this is, I don't know, this could be a good fight to bet on. I am just saying for those you risky motherfuckers out there. Blanchfield has won
$21.
her last four fights. She's
Yeah,
undefeated since 2001. She her in 2001, 2021. Sorry. So in 2021, both fights were a decision. 2022, both fights went to submission, and her first fight with Tala Santos got canceled for some reason. Who knows? But that was back in February. Should have been February 18th. That's when it got canceled. So now with Andrade, I don't know. It's kind of like, could it be a possibility that maybe Blanchfield may have an opportunity here to
so
take out
Andrade is
Andrade? I
one of
don't
those
know.
girls that has heavy hands, but she has really good submissions as well. And she pretty much goes
You're
after
right. Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Like she's either gonna pick you up and throw you, or she's gonna fucking drop some bombs on you, or she's gonna grapple your ass and get you in a dominant position and submit you, right? So, but with Blanchfield, she's a high level grappler and she's all about the wrestling. She'll take you down from any position and she'll get you in a bad position like she did with Molly McCann, which we'll go over here in just a second. And she'll get you in a spot where you can't do anything. And that's kind of what she does. So starting with Andrade, so here's something that's pretty impressive. This is the first ever standing uh head and arm choke to happen in the UFC, much less in the women's division. And as you can see, she put her ass out. I went over this last time on Traj fought, but it's just super impressive. It's the first one ever. And yeah, that just shows the strength that she has. She's a fucking I mean, she's pretty yoked. For being her size, this is a flyweight fight, so it's 125. More than likely. More than likely. But,
It's the
but then she
testosterone.
does shit like this, which I hate showing because it's against Rose Namajunas, and I like Rose a lot. But dude, yeah, look at
Oh
what she
God.
did to her, man,
Oh,
and this was, like, to win the
I know.
belt.
And you love
So
Rose. You love Rose.
if you didn't know, Rose could not really redeem
Yeah,
herself
that's
after
fucking
this.
gnarly.
So yeah, that was it. That was the end of the fight. But the way that she smashed her and threw her on the ground, I've seen her throw a couple other chicks like this too. Not as bad, but I mean, that's nasty. So you got to watch out for that strength and you got to watch out for that leverage. And, if she gets a hold of you, who knows what's going to happen. But Erin Blanchfield is, like I said before, a really good grappler, really good wrestler. She'll take you down like she took Molly McCann down there, wound up in side control right away. So she always puts herself in a great position to do damage or to get you in a submission. And that's exactly what she did here when she put Molly McCann in this Kimura. And look at that torque on that arm. Like she had no choice. She pretty much straddled her arm and her head and got her to where she couldn't do shit. And before this, she had Molly McCann in a crucifix and started dropping elbows and everything else right on her face. And when she finally decided she was done with that, she turned it into this Kimura and finished it.
When you can sink your hips in like that, like something bad's gonna happen. I mean, honestly,
Molly
they're lucky
McCann
that
is a
arm didn't break.
badass and
I mean,
she's
that
tough
arm
as
is like
fuck.
so close to
And so
snapping right
that's
there.
why
The
that got
tension.
pushed back as far as it
Oh,
did. 'Cause she didn't want to give up, but she knew that she'd be out for a long time if that arm got snapped. So that's what she talked about that after the fight. And, she feels bad for giving
uh,
up basically and tapping. But she knew better than to let that shit snap because there's no point.
I mean, live to fight
Yeah.
another day. Live to fight another day. Let it go.
Instead of being
Okay,
out
they
for
got
like a
one on
year
you.
plus
Don't let
trying
it
to
happen
recover
again.
from a broken arm, like that's dumb.
Right. Not getting paid because they don't get paid to
Definitely
fucking
not.
sit there
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so that about does it
it's
for that
terrible.
one. Moving on to the only other event this weekend. Nothing crazy. Bare knuckle fighting
Bare knuckle
championship.
boxing.
We got it's called Knuckle Mania, so that tells you the extent of how ridiculous this gets.
Is this
I
free?
mean
Do we
it's
have
like
or do we have to
$5
pay
to
for
watch
this?
it on their app. So it's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Like their app is free, I think, but you gotta pay $5 to watch the fights when they
That's not
happen.
terrible.
Yeah, so it's not bad, but I mean, so Lorenzo Hunt versus Mike Richmond. Mike Richmond, it says the Marine because he's an ex-Marine. I think he was in Bellator before. He definitely fought MMA for a while. Um, and Lorenzo Hunt, I'm not sure where he came from or what he's done. I don't know a lot about the dude except for the fact that he got his
That fucking look.
on Hunt's face.
Lorenzo Hunt's look right there on
Yeah.
his yeah, on his face.
All I know about him is that he stepped in the ring when after Hector Lombard won one time, and Lombard thought he was coming after him to like actually try to fight him. So Lombard just dropped everything he had and started throwing punches like a motherfucker. So they got into a brawl after a fight. I thought it was funny, but as you can see here, we got Diego Sanchez of all fucking people who should I feel shouldn't be fighting anymore. This fool is he was already weird to begin with, and I believe he has CTE right now. That's how much he's off his fucking rocker. He's always doing crazy shit. He always has, but it's even more so these days. And I just feel like he's gotten punished so much in his fights throughout the years. I don't feel like he needs to be fighting anymore. It's kind of I don't know. I'm surprised
I mean,
that they
honestly, it's a sickness, isn't it? You know, having CTE, it's just like you just can't stop. They wanna continue on. They love what they love, and that's it.
yeah, I mean, that's just every fighter though, you know? Not too many of them know how to call it quits, but I don't know. A lot of people have already said that Diego should not be fighting anymore just because of how crazy he is already and the way that he reacts to things and how he talks. It's way too weird.
Yeah, but you tell someone, "Hey, don't do this anymore. You're done." Like, just cut it up and makes them want to do it more and prove everybody wrong. There you go. You hit your mic
I did. I did.
down.
So, and another ex UFC fighter, John Dotson, he's fighting as well, which I believe he's got one other fight in bare knuckle and he won. So, yeah, he's got a win against Ryan Benoit. That was back in August of last year. So, and as far as Diego goes, this is gonna be his debut in bare knuckle fighting. So, we'll see how that goes. And then we also have Greg Hardy Jr., who obviously, if you know who Greg Hardy is, he was an ex NFL player. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. Um, he's an ex or possibly still a woman beater. Uh, I mean, look it up.
From left field, the woman beater.
He's fighting someone named Josh Watson. I don't know much about him. Looks like he's fought a couple times in BKFC. He's 1-1. Greg Hardy, this is his first fight in BKFC. Uh yeah, I mean, if you he's kind of the perfect person to have in a bare knuckle fight, I guess, cuz he just throws like I don't know, he doesn't have a lot of technique. So, and grappling was never his thing. So, he wasn't that great in UFC. So, bare knuckle boxing is probably right up his alley. And then the only other fight that I really know who's involved with is the women. It's Jamie Henshaw, who's 1-0 in BKFC. She fought Cassie Robb. This doesn't mean
Wait,
anything that
there's women fighting bare knuckle
Oh
boxing.
yeah, dude, Paige Van Zandt has fought in BKFC.
Oh, I
She's
had
had
no
2
idea.
fights. Actually, the chick that, I think the girl that's fighting here, she fought too. Yeah, Carissa Segala. Yeah, Carissa Segala. She fought Paige Van Zant. Let's see. No, she didn't. Okay, that was Pearl Gonzalez. Yeah, see, so Paige fought. I don't know who Paige fought. She fought Rachel Ostovich in BKFC, who is an ex
Okay.
UFC fighter, and then I think she fought. Oh, Britain Hart, I think. So anyway,
I'd like
yeah,
to see Ronda Rousey in some bare knuckle boxing. That'd be cool.
Ronda Rousey's all about the WWE right
Dude,
now.
she's about that fake money. Honestly, that fake money is legit. She's like, wow, I got good pay as a UFC champion, and now look, I can go get fake money for twice as much. Okay,
Yeah.
see ya.
So now that we lost all of our viewers with this BKFC shit, no, I'm just kidding. We'll call it
You're like,
quits
oh
on
well,
that.
it's over now.
Yeah, no. But that was all I wanted to go over with
Oh
that
man,
one. I mean, there's a few, like I said, Diego, Greg Hardy, and John Dotson, all ex UFC fighters, ex MMA fighters, all fighting in the
right,
BKFC. So, um, who knows? I don't watch it much. I watch the highlights. Instagram shows you a
right.
lot, but I've never watched a full event live because I don't know. I'm not that into it. It's not that big of a thing for me. So
I mean, I could see if they're breaking limbs and shit. That'd be cool, but nah, fuck it.
yeah, I mean it's exciting in some portions, but kind of it seems a little dramatic in a lot of
Oh,
it.
for
So
sure.
yeah,
Hey, but you know what? The Chiefs won the Super Bowl too. We called that. We said we go in together on that one.
yeah, it's true. That's
Easy
true.
win. Actually, it was a real impressive game, honestly. But I'm glad football season's over. Let's take a break and get back right back into it next year.
It's
I know.
rebuild time.
Hopefully, I think your Colts definitely need to do something. Gosh, did you see Matt Ryan said he wasn't quitting? So
Ugh, God, just quit playing on my team at least. No, I like Matt
I don't,
Ryan.
he's a good quarterback. I mean, he did really good for the Hawks, but man, you got to give him something, either a line or give him a receiver. You got to give him one of the two.
The Falcons, asshole, not the Hawks.
Oh yeah,
You had to think about it.
I totally did. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Anyway, fucking the other stupid, ridiculous thing is the slap fight league. I don't know if you watched any of that or paid attention to any of it.
Oh my gosh. I just watched the clips, the aftermath, and
Ugh,
it's
no,
just so stupid.
stupid. I just don't see. You can't pay me enough to stand there and take a slap from somebody and not be able to defend myself. Like
The
fuck that.
training, the training
The
is
training
like
is
so
stupid.
stupid.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna slap this piece of wood 1,000 times. Go ahead.
So stupid. I haven't even seen that much of it. So I just brought it up
Oh,
because I saw a headline yesterday that was hilarious that said the Nevada State Athletic Commission suspended one of the slap fight league fighters for 9 months
oh,
due
really?
to testing positive for cocaine.
Well,
Go
yeah,
figure, right?
you gotta be on cocaine for
That's
fucking someone
exactly
to slap you on the face.
that's
Like hell
exactly
yeah,
what
I
I
don't want to
said.
have no feeling.
Magic's brought it up and was like, "When are you gonna cover the slap fight league?" I'm like, "Fucking never,
Yeah,
never,
it's not worth it. It's
nah,
totally not worth it.
nah."
Fuck that shit.
So
I'll record fucking 18 holes of us playing golf and cursing at each other before I
yeah,
do that shit.
yeah, definitely. Anyway, on that note,
uh,
we'll wrap that up. The slap fight league is fucking stupid, so don't watch it because it's not gonna be here at
waste
this
of
time
money.
next year. It's not gonna be here at this time next year. Mark my fucking words. It will not be
Right.
around this time next year because it's stupid and nobody likes it and the ratings are trash. I'm so happy I'm not on call for work because calls are coming in right now, like the third time. But I'm
Oh
not on
god.
call, so who gives a fuck? Anyway, yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thanks again for joining me, man. I appreciate you. even though you
No,
fucking
absolutely.
stiffed me on Saturday and didn't show up like a
I
dick.
stiffed myself. Trust me, I stiffed myself. I
Well, you
saw,
do
I
that a lot.
saw, I saw Michelle snap, and you were making shots. I was like, "Oh, that looks
Yeah,
good."
asshole. I was making everybody old fashions and you missed out.
Oh,
Everyone's like, these are better than Clark's.
oh shit! Oh shit! Hey, you made you. I mean, honestly, the last one you made because you put that the liqueur 45 in it.
43.
Okay, sorry.
I'm
Fucking.
surprised you didn't say 34, you dyslexic fuck. I'm just
I
kidding.
knew it started with a four.
Yeah.
So liqueur 43. I
No,
mean, that
that
actually
really
makes a
does
huge
make it.
difference. I
Yeah.
I like it.
Hey, thanks to Yard House, they're the ones that introduced me to that shit. As I found out what they
Hey.
yeah, I found out what they put in it, and I'm like, except for the citrus, I don't have citrus agave. Apparently, you can make it at home. I tried to make some. It wasn't really the same, so whatever. What I have here is fucking perfect for me. Everybody else seems to like it, so good enough.
Right? Honestly, it's all about the whiskey when it comes to the end. As long as you can tolerate it or enjoy it, who
Yep.
gives a fuck?
Buffalo Trace, Woodford, and Basil Hayden. Those are my three favorites. I'll make it all the time with those, and it's great. So
For
anyway,
sure.
fuck it. We're done. We're out. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate everybody that was in the chat and for checking us out, even if it was just for a second. At this
Cheers,
point, we
everybody.
have nobody watching, but that's okay. People will watch it after. It's fine. And then they'll laugh at this part. All right, man. Well, thanks again for showing up this time instead of like last
No,
weekend.
absolutely, absolutely. I apologize. It won't happen again. I
Nah, it's
promise.
all good. Hey, we got two pay-per-views next month. So if nothing else, if you don't jump on before then, I
Hell yeah.
actually I want to try to get Patrick back on because that fucker didn't answer me last time. So I'm gonna try
Oh,
to
let's do it.
yeah, I'm gonna try
Hey,
to
you
hit.
know what? Maybe we should get all three of us, just me, you, and Patrick. I'd be
That's what I
down
was
for
gonna
that.
say. Maybe I'll get Patrick on again, and if he's cool, then and wants to do it again, then maybe we'll get all three of us on.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
trying to get Mike on from the Rumble because I've got some stuff to talk about with him. So I've been trying to get him on, but he's not big into MMA. He doesn't know a bunch. But I told him it doesn't matter, and like I'll drive the
Yeah,
car,
who
and he
gives a
could just
shit?
be the passenger and join the ride, ask
Yeah,
a
he'll
couple
just nod his head
questions.
like always.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
last time he was in the chat asking questions and shit. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna try
for
to get
sure.
him on soon too. But if nothing else for the big pay-per-views, I'll have you back on next month for those.
Yeah, absolutely.
These
I'm
next
down.
couple fights, I mean, we got this
Isn't
fight this
John Jones
weekend.
fight next
John
week?
Jones is March 4th, so it's 2 weeks.
March 4th.
So it's this fight,
I'm in on it.
another fight night, and then John Jones. So let's just plan for that one. Because the next fight I'm gonna just probably cover a bunch of other stuff. Oh, the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight is next week too. Well, yeah, I know. But here's the thing. If Jake Paul beats Tommy Fury, I just read this today. If Jake Paul beats Tommy Fury, he's getting in the rankings for the WBC. So that's
I
pretty
did
big.
see that. I did
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So
I
um
hate the Paul brothers. I think they became famous off of the stupidest shit in the world, and
I understand.
honestly,
But
it's
I'm
terrible.
still
The
interested.
fact, the prime drink being now UFC's, drink of choice. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, Dana, we don't need money that bad.
I swear he's
Uh,
probably just doing it to get at Jake Paul because him and Jake Paul don't like each other. So,
I
um,
still hate it.
yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Clark, for joining me. And fucking yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely. Have a good
Yeah,
night, guys. Cheers.
come back again next week, and we'll recap this. Hopefully, not as weak as it seems fight, and we'll preview the next fight, and I will preview the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight and a bunch of other shit. So come back next Thursday, 7 p.m. Same place. See you later. Peace.
Like, subscribe. See you guys later.
All that shit. Thank you. Later.